Welcome to The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and local advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener, your host, Ken Lane, here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And hasn't this been a nice monsoon season? I was flying back, let me think here. I was flying from Orlando, Florida, connected up in Denver to Prescott. Great flight. If you're flying east, anywhere east from Prescott, Arizona, grab the United flight that flies out of here 2 or 3 times a day. It is so easy to connect anywhere you want on the planet in Denver. Going west, it's a little more awkward if you're taking teams like colleagues, work things. There's not as many connecting flights to LA coming back home. But if you got to go somewhere, you're going to, Portland, you can go to LA, come back. It's coming back that gets you. You can't get back home quite fast enough, but coming from east, going from Prescott east, super easy. We're flying over from Denver to here, and it's greener in Arizona than it is in Colorado. I mean, you could see where the monsoon pattern had come. Things are greening up. All of the stock tanks, they are full. You ranchers have got to be happy. And so things are just greening, looking really good. So are your yards. You can tell your evergreens, those native pinyon pines, ponderosas, your native junipers, the ceanothus, the Apache plumes, they just look so happy. They've been on life support for almost a decade, for years. All of a sudden, they've got a full-on, full-season monsoon pattern like they're used to, and things are happy. Your landscape, things that are on a drip system, that's not real watering. That's taking very alkaline water coming out of your tap and then throwing it out there on the roots with minimal drips, with a terrible pattern. It's not getting the whole root zone. It's not pushed deep enough. But when it rains like this, so we've had I'm seeing people showing their rain gauges, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain in the last month. We've had over 4.5 at our house. And so that's a lot of rain. That's a good monsoon pattern for the mountains of Arizona. It seems like it's all from Payson all the way over. Of course, I'm in an airplane flying at, I don't know what they fly at, 25,000 feet. I'm not quite sure where I'm at. I know there's a Grand Canyon. I can see that. You kind of know Flagstaff, but I'm not sure the pattern. But it all seemed pretty green. Once you passed over the Rockies and you came this way, it was looking really good. Some things to watch. This is everything. I mean, absolutely everything grows faster during the monsoons. It loves it. So we've got a whole house humidifier and room humidifiers. Usually I'm filling those humidifiers up every other day. It's been over a week now that I haven't had to add. It's been so humid. So it's like perfect inside the house, outside the house. Your plants are responding to that. And then we had some lightning storms earlier in the week. I mean, lightning, as it burns through the clouds, literally lightning will burn the air, which releases some nitrogen. It blends in with this perfectly balanced pH rainwater. Then it comes down on the forest, down on your landscape, down on your flowers, down on everything. And it is the best. This is Mother Nature taking care of herself, and we just all benefit. It's the best. The drip system that you have, it's not the best. It's life support that fills in the gaps between these monsoonal rain patterns. We're in for more rain. I mean, it's July, August, first part of September, typically are our monsoon, and that slides. I mean, who can predict Mother Nature? My goodness. But the weeds are growing like crazy. They're growing fast. I'm noticing that I'm seeing some mildew showing up here at the garden center. It was the Waters Garden Center in Prescott. So you kind of know where this is broadcast everywhere. Kind of know where I'm located. But if you're in the broadcast zone of this radio station, this podcast, it's probably showing up in your yard too. And so you're seeing this white coating showing up on the foliage. And so it'll actually coat the entire foliage. This mildew will actually start eating the sugars from the plant, and literally it will suffocate the plant if you let it go. Don't let it go. This is serious, and you can catch it early. So I'm noticing some mildew on my squash, some pumpkins, some of the, I saw it on some honeysuckle. So look for white roses. They get on roses. Look for this white, almost looks like talcum powder or something on the leaves, not so much the flowers. It'll be in the lower parts of the foliage where it stays, it's more shaded, stays moist longer. But these things, these mildew type of bacterial types of plant disease, they like this moist, humid, warm. It's like this is the perfect environment for them to take off. So kind of monitor, go out and watch it. If you see it, super easy. There's a couple organics that we sell here at the Garden Center. Neem Oil, Neem. So Neem Oil. We sell it under the label of Triple Action. Really good at taking out mildew. What it does, that oil coats the spore and doesn't allow it to spread. Very effective. 100% organic. There's another one called Revitalize, which is another biological control that's really effective at taking out mildews. But you got to spot it first before it gets too bad. Once it gets really like the whole plant is covered, now we need to break out the big guns, and some of those aren't so organic. They're just not, they're just catch it early. You can keep it really safe for the birds, you, the pets, the kids. It's easier. If in doubt, take a leaf, put it in a Ziploc baggie. We don't want to, this spreads really easily. But bring it in a Ziploc baggie. We can stick it underneath the microscope. We'll show you the spores. We can go, oh yeah, that's it. You got it. Good eye. So if you're not sure, or you're new to gardening, or you're more desert type of gardening, you're just not sure about the mountain gardening, come see us. We'll ID it. Just please, if you could, this is for all garden center owners throughout northern Arizona, please don't take a diseased leaf into your nursery just exposed, because it's just spreading. You keep the windows open in your car, it's spread through your neighborhood. You bring it into the nursery, it spreads to all over. This stuff spreads so easy. Ziploc baggies though, or a jar or something, just kind of isolate it. And we don't mind doing that. If you come in with an open leaf, our hairs on the back of our necks go up. We're kind of going, whoa, we'll come to you. Don't bring that in here. So just kind of things to watch for. Another one I heard, I had the first one. It was really interesting. Had a sycamore tree and had oozing bark. It's this brown, gooey sap coming out of the bark. Usually this shows up on that wild, like Siberian or Chinese elm. It's called slime flux. It's a bacteria, just the same thing. Gets underneath the bark and starts eating the tree, that sugar area just underneath the bark. It starts eating that sugar, and the tree is trying to flush this goo, this bacteria out of out of its system. There's no cure for it. And so a friend of mine, texted me, going, Ken, what is this? I'm going, that's slime flux. What's it on? Sycamore. Oh my gosh, any cure? No. Fertilize it, make sure the tree is healthy, and then 1 part bleach to 10 part water, just your regular old Clorox, 10 to 1 Clorox, 10 water, and just coat that area. Maybe do it a couple times. It's not a cure, but it'll knock it back some so that the fertilizer can kick in. So maybe it can grow over that diseased area. So you're just taking the pressure off of that tree. So it's slime flux. Look for that. If you're seeing oozing, gooey bubbles, those are all of high concern. They are very dangerous for your trees. Seems like it's mainly on the trees right now, but just take them on. It's not epidemic. We're not talking it's taking over the forest. It's just if you have it in your yard, my name's Ken. We're just friends. We're talking over the back fence. This is showing up at some of my friends' house. You might want to check your trees too. And if you see that, come talk to us. We'll show you how to deal with it. But right now, for this other buddy of mine, hey, John, just take 1 part bleach, 10 part water, coat that area, fertilize it with the all-purpose 744 fertilizer, pray over it, do all that stuff you do, and probably a sycamore grows so fast in this kind of weather, it'll grow its way out of it. Got a lot in store for you, but we have Lisa Waters-Lane coming in with your garden questions right after this. Hold on.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him every week for timely garden advice right for the gardens. Visit Ken where he can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Waters garden companion plants for August are radio red salvias, butterfly bush, and trumpeting vine.
Large clusters of red and orange flowers create a dramatic show all season long with Waters trumpet vine.
This vigorous vine thrives in heat and blooms profusely with neglect.
Quickly covers large areas as a ground cover, spilling over retaining walls, screening a fence, or cloaking arbors.
Guaranteed to attract more hummingbirds and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. I hate weeds. Monsoon rains are so refreshing, even my landscape comes alive, but so do my weeds. Stop weeds in their track in one simple step. Waters Weed and Grass Stopper spreads like fertilizer. It kills weed seed before monsoon rains allow them to sprout. No need to weed. It's safe for trees, even flower beds, and so much safer than that toxic waste the big box sells. Weed and Grass Stopper, and only found at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You've been listening to Ken Lane, the Mountain Gardener. Green thumbs learned while working in the Family Garden Center. Now welcome back to the Mountain Gardener.
And we are back with Lisa Waters Lane in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions. Just what are your neighbors talking about? And so she comes and just shares those. Welcome back to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you.
I've missed you this week terribly.
You have been the traveler.
You know what's fun?
What?
The pandemic's over. Truly,
Yes.
It's over. And so the airports are busy.
Mm-hmm.
They're open. The hotels are full. Conventions. So in the fall season, so late summer, fall is when garden centers get ready for the following year.
Mm-hmm.
So the industry, garden centers, the breeders, those are people that create life. They start it. They give it to the plug growers.
Okay.
What you got?
You said create life.
They do create.
Very dramatic, dear, but yes.
That's pretty freaky what they do. They're taking tissue cultures and some goo thing and some test tube, and
it's
they
very
grow it
scientific.
on.
It is.
Then they give it to the growers, the plug growers. They'll grow it out to about a plug about the size of a quarter, and they send it to our growers, and if we grow it on and flush out into a gallon size or 15 or whatever, and then it comes to us, the garden center. We're all getting together. We're sharing our knowledge, what's going on, new breeds, new varieties. Right now, it's a pandemic, post, pre, what you're looking at, how are things going, how are the employees, how do you do that? It's just fun. It's business.
Right.
And so it's the industry gets together. So all the GMs and the CEOs and presidents and owners, and it's that management level up. And then you get to hang out and have a beer after at the bar and then commiserate or celebrate and then go look at new product coming out for next year. It's just fun. And what I noticed was the expense accounts came out again. So the corporation, you corporate folks, you know what this is about. You salespeople, this has been closed for 2 years, 3 years. They just said, oh, no more expenses, no more spending, no more travel, no more. And that all changed just really in the last month and a half. Really in the last month, it all changed. And it's noticeable. It's kind of fun. It's great.
Cool. So you took Kinsey.
Yeah, Mackenzie and I, we're in the training mode. So dad takes daughter and we're going father-daughter team. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Learning stuff together. And then everyone's going, really? We never knew you had a daughter. I've been going to these things for 30 years. We didn't know you had a daughter. Didn't you know we thought you were, who are you? And so it's kind of fun to see. And then she gets to see a side of her dad because we are hugely respected in our industry. I mean, we are well known in North America. We're even known in other parts of the world for being good garden center retail community leaders. And so to see her go, I think it's a new side. She's seen a new side of the company through us, through the family, through that, which is kind of fun anyway. She's actually commented on it. It's kind of fun.
It's good. It's good to see her go. I stay home and I dog sit.
I love it.
Dog and cat sit.
And you take care of my cat.
His cat.
Yeah, my cat.
I never thought of you as a cat person until we ended up with this cat. So our daughter Meg moved back to Texas, couldn't take the cat. So we've never had a cat.
Right.
So now we have this cat, Dougie the cat.
Doug the cat.
And he's a pretty cool cat.
He's a dog in cat form. He's actually a dog. He goes out in the yard and follows you around. He goes, what you doing? I'm typing at night. Last night I was doing some stuff and he's coming up on the keyboard going, nope, I think you're done. Let's go. You need to scratch my back. Anyway, just kind of fun. Dougie the cat.
Dougie the cat.
Oh my gosh, we should go over garden questions.
We should.
We're starting to bore people with our.
If they're still tuned in,
I know they changed the channel. Like they came back to see if we're still talking. And kind of, oh no, they aren't on the garden stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm on to the next thing. All right. So Ellis in Prescott Valley says her tomato plants are producing nicely. Lots of nice tomatoes. Plants look good, but the tomatoes themselves are developing splits in them.
Oh, yeah.
And she wants to know what causes that. Is there anything she can do to help prevent it?
Yeah, you can help. So that splitting, cracking, sometimes you'll hear folks talk about thick skin on tomatoes. I don't know about this year. Our tomatoes have a few less cracks this year than usual. And the skins are very tender right now. And a lot of that has to do with the dryness, the brightness, the sun. It causes that. And water extreme. So if it's really wet and then it goes dry, as that fruit swells up with water and then shrinks and swells up, that's what causes that cracking. And then if that tomato is exposed to a lot of intense sun, it's a little bit dry, the plant will actually form a little bit thicker skin as a protection to keep that seed. It's trying to reproduce a seed inside all that tissue. And so the skin is what it's trying to protect its next generation with. And so this is all a defense the plant is using. So more consistency in the watering would really help with the cracking. For our tomatoes, I always sprinkle just a touch. I'll take a tablespoon of Aqua Boost. These are polymers that swell up and hold like 200 times their weight in water. Then as the ground gets dry, it releases the moisture. It just fills that gap, because I know that's an issue, that cracking. So I'll just, when I'm planting, it's kind of maybe too late. Well, maybe not. I'll give you a quick test. I'll just sprinkle a little bit of Aqua Boost crystals underneath the plant so the roots grow through that. If you wanted, so this if you've seen some problems like that, maybe come in and get a little bottle of Aqua Boost. It's very inexpensive. Poke a little hole, several of them down beside the roots, and kind of sprinkle those crystals. They need to be at the roots, and they'll swell up and hold water, and probably take that edge off. And so you'll have less cracking on the next crop. So we're in full swing with these tomatoes. There's a lot of runway to go. So don't give up. Keep going. There's nothing worse than trying to cut out cracks in a tomato. You lose half. It's like blossom end rot, only worse.
Yeah.
So that's why it's happening. That's a pretty common thing.
Right. And I suppose monsoons don't help that. So if we get those big rains, where you're getting a lot of water at once, sometimes that's hard to control.
Yeah, it's impossible to control. Nature, usually monsoons aren't really that much a factor because it's so inconsistent. So yeah, it's wet this week, it's dry next week. It's kind of, that's what causes that cracking.
Right.
If you get a lot of monsoon rain, you can flush your calcium out, and it will actually increase your blossom end rot. That's why you really want to get a bottle of the yield booster. It's a liquid calcium. You spray the foliage. Once a week, every other week or so. So the plants take in this calcium. If we get a lot of rain, it flushes those nutrients out of the soil. It'll actually cause the next set of blossoms where that will rot, get this black spot where the blossom was. So those are things to watch with heavy monsoon rain pattern. Right. So it changes every year. It's different.
It does.
There's no consistency.
That is very true.
That's why we're here every week. Here are the Mountain Gardeners, Ken and Lisa Lane.
So you always got to get it in there, don't you?
Some way.
Yeah. So Sandy is moving into a new home, thinking about putting in their landscape, that kind of stuff. They came from Minnesota, which had a very short season. So she's concerned, does she have enough time yet in this season for us to put in perennials and trees and shrubs?
First of all, Sandy, welcome to God's country, because Minnesota ain't it. I mean, that's good. Right now it is, but I don't know. It seems cold. Like Minnesota folks come down here to winter, up there to summer. So, but why not just stay down here and just enjoy all 4 seasons? Because it's nicer, better, strong. I don't know. So we have a 12-month planting season, Sandy. Don't worry about it. You're not going to get an 8-foot frost line like you're used to. The lakes, they don't freeze over here.
No ice fishing.
There's no ice fishing. You're in God's country. It's the 4 seasons. It's chilly, but it's not, the ground doesn't freeze. What you'll find is with your landscape, the varieties that you are offered change by seasons. So there'll be a lot of lilacs In the spring, there's not that many now, but there's a lot of crepe myrtles now. There's only one in the spring. You'll see the crops will ebb and flow. Right. The main thing you're going to watch is your zone. Make sure you are buying zone. Don't be fooled. All these Midwest folks come down here. I want it to look like Phoenix. I want a saguaro in my yard. Oh boy. Don't do that. Don't go to Phoenix and buy a bunch of stuff and bring it back up here and expect it to winter over. It won't. So probably 90% of everything down there dies up here. So you got to be, a lot of folks get that first round of landscaping gets killed off the following spring. Buy up in the mountains, get the folks, know who you're buying from. You are a zone 7. You want plants can go down to 10 degrees, maybe 5 or colder. Right. But no, don't go with that desert, just cacti stuff. You'll be disappointed. Anyway, that's what I can help you. Come visit us here at Waters Garden Center. We'll walk you right through the process. Ken and Lisa Lane, the Mountain Gardeners. Right back. We got more after this.
You're listening to Ken Lane, a.k.a. the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Garden Center. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain gardens. Hi, Lisa here with the plants of the week and our Denver daisy.
Produces large yellow flowers with a radiant burgundy center some might mistake for miniature sunflowers.
Attracts both butterflies and compliments. Loves summer heat and extreme conditions. Now that sounds like my kind of flower.
Hurry, we only grew 50 of these perennial bloomers.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott. Where people who love hardy daisies, they love to shop.
300,000? Imagine a landscape needing 300,000 trees. Wow.
But that's exactly how many trees Frederick Olmsted planted in New York's Central Park.
That guy liked trees. Me too.
A 2014 study found the more trees in a neighborhood, the lower the incidence of heart disease.
Darwin, Einstein, and Beethoven hung out with trees to help them think.
Trees are part of nature that helps us relax, daydream, and feel happier.
Plant your own Central Park from Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Join the conversation every week as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Now welcome back your host, Ken Lane.
Everything is growing fast right now. Deadhead your flowers and fertilize them, and they will come right back into bloom, just like that. So they're growing so fast, but they're either seeding or they're flowering. And of course, flowers, they want to form seed. That's the reason they bloom. Bees and butterflies pollinate them. Then they go, okay, I'm pollinated. Now they start to focus all their energy on seed. So we call it pinching the dead flower off, or deadheading. It's got several names. But if you simply go through and just pinch off the dead spent flowers on your butterfly bush, on your echinacеas, on your gaillardias, on your catmint. Catmint has been growing up. It's been knee-high. Now it's flopping over, drunken in the rain. It just looks terrible. Go through and whack that sucker back almost right to the ground. Fertilize it with that all-purpose plant food. It will be back in bloom in 2 weeks. Just like that. Fresh, new, brand new plant. Don't let it go to seed. Don't let it get ugly looking. Go ahead and clean it up. Fertilize it. It'll come right back into bloom for you. A little trick, insider tips. Same with your tomatoes. If they get overgrown, they start sending off these suckers with these runners, the side shoots. Don't let them do that. Don't let them overgrow each other. Cut some of those things back. Keep things pruned, fruit, just some insider tips on that. One thing too, watch your tomatoes. Make sure they got enough calcium right now. If with all this rain we've had, it's flushing out some of those nutrients. So you might have to fertilize any kind of yellow leaf on any plant, but especially your vegetable herb plants. Make sure you're feeding those. So we've had nutrients. We planted them in the spring, and they've been growing for a couple months. Now all of a sudden the monsoon rains come. It's flushed out the minerals, and it's still growing really fast. And so they'll get off color on you. If you see that, just know, I'm a gardener. I'm talking to my plants. They're telling me I'm a little bit hungry. Those butterfly bush that have some yellow, the new yellow the growth is yellow, that's not right. They should be dark blue, green. That means they need a little bit of food. Go through, take off all those spent flowers, and then fertilize it with an all-purpose plant food. They'll come right back into bloom. And within 2 weeks, it'll blow your mind. Good. Whoa, rich green, all new flowers on it. It'll be a game changer. You can take advantage of this monsoonal. It's a second growing season, really. So you can really get things to grow up quickly. Those sycamores, they have these bent, broken leaves. They got wind whipped back in June, early July. Well, if you just fertilize that drip line, so you put that food out where those outer branches are, and you pray for rain. We're going to get some rain. It's going to take those nutrients right down through the soil, and you will double the foliage count on that tree. I mean, maples, same way. If the maples have any yellow right now on them, any new growth has a little off, they should be bright, crisp green. If they're going a little bit off color, you really need to fertilize those. They should not have any yellow on them at all. That's the monsoon rains coming, flushing the foliage out, flushing the nutrients from underneath the root zone of that plant, and they'll actually get kind of yellow on you. If you keep it that way, you'll lose all your fall color. So they're going to go into color here in a couple months. So it's usually into September, October, really. They should be this bright fire engine red. If you let this yellowing go right now, you'll totally lose all of that autumn color on your plants, which is why you plant a maple. You want the shade in summer and that beautiful fall color in the autumn. So it's some tricks. Keep an eye on that. All right, now take advantage. Really, I'm really trying to go after my native plants. And so, especially things that have been drought stressed. So those pinyon pines would really benefit right now with some all-purpose plant food. That 744 granular food around the drip line. They've been beat up by thrip, by scale, by bark beetle, Ibs beetle, flathead borer. All of nature's been coming after them because of this drought. Now we're out of it. The plants are really, you can see them celebrating. They're taking up the moisture. Let them take up the nutrients too, and they can fight all these things off by themselves. Ponderosa pines. Some of you are up in the hillsides, and you've got these beautiful, if you lose a ponderosa pine, you can literally file an insurance claim. They're that valuable. And you'll never recover from it. You'll never get them back. You don't want to lose one, but just fertilize now. It'll be a game changer for them. It'll really increase the health. You'll get better, less aphids in the fall. You'll get rid of that bark beetle. Just a little nutrients. While it's taking up this moisture, it's a real game. Take advantage of it. I can't emphasize that enough. They've been under stress for really 3 years, and now they're not stressed. They can really recover quickly. With a little bit of care from their gardener or their homeowner, they can really recover quickly. It's a game changer. So anyway, just on and on and on I could go for an entire show, which is what we do for an hour every weekend. But I just want you to capture really my goal, 3 things every show. I want you to be able to use right then that'll make a difference in your landscapes and your gardens, like right now. So that's my goal. I impart more than that, but there's a lot of different kinds of gardeners tuned in. Well, we got Lisa Waterslane coming in with her garden segment right after this, but let's take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for timely garden advice right for higher elevations. Guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Wondering why my garden looks amazing? Well, that's personal. The personal garden shopper service at Waters Garden Center, that is. Before talking with my personal shopper, I had no idea which plants would be best for me. But now my garden is bursting with flowers and buzzing with hummingbirds. Just go to watersgardencenter.com, click on Shop, and choose Personal Garden Shopper. A Waters Garden expert will pick the perfect plants for you, personally. The Personal Garden Shopper, only at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Waters garden companion plants for August are radio red salvias, trumpeting vine, and butterfly bush.
Monarch and swallowtail butterflies flock to Waters Butterfly Bush with spectacular 8-inch flowers filling the yard with fragrance and beauty.
Heat, drought, wind only make this shrub bloom more. Tough enough to grow in clay, but hardy enough to shine in containers.
With so many colors to choose, every yard should have at least 2.
You'll only find impressive butterfly bush at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening is very rewarding, with a few Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts sure to turn your thumbs even greener. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
And we are back with Lisa Waterslane in the studio. Each week she gets an entire, we should do the whole show with just you being the hostess, with the mostess.
Hey,
the
probably
whole
not.
thing.
Nope.
It's hard to keep the deadlines going every week with the show, huh?
It is.
Creative, fun, entertaining, and gives some garden information. 52 weeks out of the year, been doing this for, I don't know, since over 20 years. Long
Really?
time. Yeah.
Wow.
It was the road construction back in, what's that, 2003 or something? Whatever that was. In road construction, people couldn't get to us. And I went, what can I do to get information out so people won't forget us? It's construction. So I started teaching college classes at Yale by College on gardening, different subjects. And then I started the radio show and a garden column. Kind of all started there out of desperation. And then it's kind of an entrepreneurial thing. You do whatever you can to keep it going, to make sure your customers and friends don't forget.
Right.
You're still alive and going. And it's been 60 years this year. Your father started this thing back in 1962.
Yeah.
So
In a while.
we keep trying to keep doing proud.
We do.
So,
We really do.
and then our next generation,
Mhm.
Mackenzie is now taking this thing. She's in training. So she's now the GM,
What am
kind
I
of manager. You're
Did I just lose my job?
GM and exiting GM. We got to both kind of work mother-daughter thing going.
I was just fired on air.
But we'll have fun together.
Okay.
Where you want to go, honeydew?
I don't know.
Actually, that sounded terrible.
I've just been fired. I got to accept that first.
But I still need your radio voice.
I keep
Okay.
saying you need to get Kinsey in here to do the radio. Not that I don't enjoy it. It's good to have fresh blood.
Fresh blood, young blood,
Yeah,
talented blood.
right.
She is super smart. We went
She is.
to it's called the Garden Center Conference. These are the big players in the country get together, and she could hold her own.
Mhm.
They were asking her questions. She could pop right up.
Wow.
The next one, we're going to Kansas City here in a month.
Mhm.
It's called the Garden Center Group. It's 140 garden centers. We all share information. It's like a co-op for garden centers. And we're very, very close, very tight. Anything you want to know, all family owned. She's going, and we're doing financials. So our financial consultants coming, going, here's your Gimroy. You retailers know what, you know, margins, turns, advertising budget, how much should rent be, all these detailed president, CEO kind of numbers, CFO. And she's going, Dad, I'm worried. Could you go over this with me before I get there so I don't look stupid? I'm going, honey, you're going to be brilliant. But yes, glad to go over that with you, kind of sharing some stuff just so she knows.
Yeah.
So she can just answer it. So she'll just know.
Yeah.
So anyway, just fun to watch her kind of come on track.
It is very much so.
What is this segment about? I see a bunch of my studio just smells delicious.
There you go.
And bright and beautiful. What is the average size flower? Is like 8 inches across. What is this?
So we talk quite a bit about seasonality, having color and different things all season long so that you're always enjoying something beautiful out in your yard. And so now we're moving into that late summer, autumn, going into fall, autumn kind of thing. So there are some great perennials, great flowers that give you that late summer color that are spectacular. So we just got a bunch in. So I brought in show and tell.
We should talk about those. We haven't had marigolds like that since, I don't know, like April.
So you're better at showing off.
There you go. Help you out.
So that's our marigold. We did get like 150 1-gallon marigolds in. All different colors. This is my favorite color. This is Durango red. It's kind of an orangey, dark orange, red, a little bit of yellow. It's just very pretty. Yeah. Of course, it has that marigold smell to it.
It's because that's animals don't eat it. That's they're more, they repel insects. There's a lot going on for marigolds.
And the thing I love about marigolds too, they are so easy to kick into bloom, and they want to stay in bloom. So, do a little bit of deadheading, some flower power, and they'll stay kicking until a really hard frost.
I would say ours were in bloom past Thanksgiving last year.
Were they
were
really?
going into December.
Yeah.
in containers,
Right.
and they were spectacular. So this is one that takes you well past summer through autumn and getting close to winter. That's how tough these things are.
Right.
It's not just a frost and they're gone. Not like a zinnia or dahlias.
Yeah.
This keeps on going. That's why these are right up there with mums and asters. This is a fall plant, but they bloom way sooner than your mums will ever do.
So we got some beautiful winds. We got the yellow, we've got the true orange, and then the Durango red.
Yeah. Love Durango red.
That's one of my favorites. You got to check that out.
Okay.
And then, of course, we've got, I've probably talked about these before, but I have a very specific reason for bringing it in today.
Okay.
So this is coneflower. This particular one is Cheyenne Spirit. And as you can see on one plant, you've got at least 2 to 3 different colors always coming
it's crazy.
out. It's a beautiful mix. You get the reds, the oranges, the whites, the yellows.
Playing with the camera. Sorry. This is also being vlogged. It's podcasted. It's radio live streamed. It's going on terrestrial antennas. It's everywhere.
Right. So it's another one that's a really consistent bloomer. Once it starts going into bloom, they're getting a little bit of deadheading, a little bit of flower power, and it's going to keep blooming all season long. Great for hummingbirds, for butterflies, birds in general. Just a really super plant out there for that.
And this is like, so I've been telling folks, this is the time when you want to fight inflation. You buy plants now because they're so much bigger. This thing must have 15, 20 blooms. It's got 2, 4, 6, like 10 blooms on it with 10 more underneath it ready to go. You just get more plant for the money this time of year. And Cheyenne Spirit, to have a coneflower, your grandparents had purple coneflower. That was it. This has got every other color in the rainbow. It's wild. It's a new variety.
Very pretty. And then also Rubeckias. This is the time of year Rubeckia shine. Now it's a horrible name, Rubeckia.
And there's Black-Eyed Susan or something.
Black-Eyed Susan's kind of a common name, but they've come up with so many different varieties now. So this one is Prairie Sun. Look how huge.
It looks like a sunflower. It's crazy. Only it's much more upright, doesn't get that heavy seed, and doesn't reseed like crazy. Right. So cleaner, neater.
So that one's Prairie Sun.
You can't even see the foliage. It's crazy.
They're spectacular. You really got to come in and see those. And the other one we got, that's another Rubeckia, is Denver Daisy.
These are the same. This one's got a beautiful black, like it's bigger than a silver dollar. It's huge. Black center.
You know why they call it the Denver Daisy?
No, because it came from Denver.
It is in honor of Denver's 150th anniversary.
That is awesome.
They created it specifically for that.
That is awesome.
So that's a really cool flower.
I would call it Prescott Daisy. That's what I would do it, but I'm biased. Totally biased. Arizona Daisy. I'd call it something like that.
So both of the Rubeckias, actually, they're going to go dormant in the wintertime, but they're very cold tolerant.
Yeah.
So they are going to come back next year. And they're also probably going to drop seed. And you'll have a few more coming up next year.
So it's a true wildflower. Yeah. And summer through, when do these stop? So probably they'll turn color and start to show that straw color in Halloween, first part of November, something like that.
Yeah. Easily through October. So now the reason I brought the coneflower in and the Rubeckias in is to show you the Ekabekias.
Ekabekias. If I can't decide, I want one of both.
So Ekabekias are a cross between the Rubeckia and the Echinacea.
Okay.
So these are a cross.
So they're cross-pollinating or something, or they're grafting or some other weird thing.
They're doing genetics. It's a genetic thing, but it's okay. It's okay. You can still have them. So this one is Samarina Orange.
Yeah, I'll show it.
Very dark in color,
it's
but
beautiful.
Look how it still has that big, beautiful blossom.
Yep.
Interesting colors. Very, very pretty.
Great big petals coming out. The thing is probably, 6 inches across. You cannot see the foliage. There's so many flowers on it. And the beauty with this one is it repeat blooms by itself even easier than the other two. Just keeps on going. This one doesn't reseed as easy, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, but it's still just a really cool plant to have out there.
That's why it has more flowers on it, because it doesn't have to focus on the seed. It just focuses on flowers. So, but it's still a perennial.
Oh, yeah.
Goes back every year.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Great in containers or in the ground in your perennial bed.
And I noticed this one's like $3 less expensive than the other two. Of course.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's $17.99. So it's big old. What is this thing?
Yeah.
Like 18 inches tall. It's huge.
The other one's,
The other one's 20. Oh, they are.
$17.99.
Well, shoot, that's a lot of plants. Okay,
It is.
sorry. I thought they were 22 or $19.99 or
No,
something.
they're $17.99. And then this one's Samarina Yellow.
Submarina, is it? A
Sub-
minute?
Samarina.
Submarina. Oh, my
I
bad.
keep telling this guy to get
I'm such a man. I can
We're out of
recover
time.
if I need to. Ken and Lisa Lane and the Mountain Gardeners. Sorry we were out of time. We should move on. Right back after this.
Look for more tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts through Ken's website. Podcast the show, read his weekly garden column, or follow him on Facebook and Instagram at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com.
Hi, Waters with the plants of the week and our gold flame honeysuckle.
Wonderfully fragrant. These blooms are in full color right now and will stay that way until the first frost of October.
These pink and gold blooms are irresistible to hummingbirds and butterflies alike.
Excellent as a quick ground cover, but robust enough to climb vertical structures and fences, all for under $37.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love blooming vines, they love to shop. Gardening and you don't know where to start?
Waters in-home garden service comes to you and identifies what you have and how to make it better.
Design advice, water strategies, vegetable and flower gardens, soil and food needs, and problem solving. Always problem solving.
You'll instantly be a better gardener.
All for just $200 of expert time with a coupon to fill your garden dreams without ever leaving home.
In-home garden consultations from Waters Garden Center.
We can be at your home this week.
Welcome to the Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane. Gardening in the mountains is different. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now for better advice that works locally, welcome your host, Ken Lane.
There are a lot of divots, rivers, hillsides washing out. The mud is gathering in the intersections. Erosion is a thing this time of year. And you folks with brand new landscapes, you know this because you're more exposed. Those trees and shrubs you planted in the last 18, 24 months, they're not quite rooted enough for the roots to hold in all that soil. So as plants mature, they get better and better and better. Even a tree, a shrub, a grass that died 3, 4, 5 years ago, the roots are still there years later, holding that hillside in. So there's a lot of benefits to the soil, to your neighborhood, to your backyard, especially if you're on a any kind of incline. I'm telling you, in Prescott Valley, that's my first house Lisa and I ever bought here in the area. It was the backside of Prescott Valley, off of Pawnee Drive. That area, it was flat. You'd swear it was flat, but there was enough of a grade, and we're on a slight knoll, like Prescott Valley does. You thought that your yard was flat, but when it rained, like it was a gully washer, you would see these rivers start forming, start washing things out. It'd go out towards a mailbox and fill up in just kind of one of those things. So we started to put ground covers around the yard. Ground covers do two things. Ground covers are typically plants that are knee-high or lower. So they can be right on the ground like a carpet, but not necessarily. A good ground cover right now that's beautiful, honeysuckle. It's a vine that one plant will send runners or tendrils out. It could be 6 foot, 8 foot tendrils out from the mother plant. That's going to cover a lot of hillside quick. That's probably the most famous of all of the most famous of all of the vining type of ground covers, but I've seen the exact same thing. Yavapai College, class of 83, Yavapai College, proud alum. Back, they used a lot of trumpet vine. They use a lot of Virginia creeper. These are very fast growing, low growing. They're deciduous plants. That is, they lose their foliage through the winter, but they're really aggressive at holding that hillside in, and they soften. They like to creep in between where you see the native Virginia creeper. There's a wild one that grows here. Where you see that natively growing, it grows in between the rocks, in between the boulders, and just kind of ground covers around things. It's most famous in the magazines growing up fences, up hills, up where it turns this bright red color in the autumn of the year. That's Virginia creeper. But it's a native. It grows wild here. It's super drought hardy. Once you get it established, it can go on its own, but it's really good at putting a runner down, touching the ground, and forming another plant. So you can control where you want that to go. If you've got that, you're in the neighborhood where they had to cut into the hillside to make your pad, and then all of a sudden you get this 10-foot, rock bank, and then your neighbor's right above that. You know which neighborhoods those are. Those are, maybe they won't erode. Maybe they will. Probably they will. But they're just rocky, and they're ugly. They feel like you're in a cave almost. You grow some nice vines up those, and it just takes on this very garden-esque kind of feel. It just kind of glow warm in the afternoon sunlight. They just make everything feel better. Plants help you feel better. So there's adaptation. There's a different variety for every space, every kind of garden type architecture that you're trying to go for. Most of us are on flat hills. We've got rock lawns. Too much rock looks awkward. And the magic formula is 60-40. If you're going to architect school, it's a 60-40 formula. 60% of the architecture of the ground of that plot should be covered in green mass, green foliage. As you're looking down on it, 60%. This includes the roof line, the driveways, everywhere else. So trees cover a very large space. So this is where a bulk of that comes from. But it's also your shrubs. You want 60%. If you get that too light, it feels like, what did they run out of money? All they had money for was rock and a couple boulders. They didn't have enough for trees or shrubs or vines. So it'll feel like it's not quite soft enough. Too lunar effect you'll hear sometimes. If you get that too heavy, so you go to 70-75% plants to your plot, as you're looking down on it, it feels like a jungle. It feels like it's overgrown. What, they didn't know when to stop? What, they don't have any money for maintenance? What, they never take care of this place? And this could be the folks that maybe they're a little older. They've had this house for 40 years. Their family grew up here. They got a little bit older and they couldn't quite take care of it like they used to in their younger days. And the last couple of years, they just couldn't get out there to take the trimming to get things back in there. And then you come in and buy that and it feels, boy, they haven't done anything for a while. That's that. It went over 60%. That's what that is. And your gut will tell you, not quite enough plants, or God, there's too many. It's 60-40 rule. 60% of the ground should be, including the house, of the plot, not just the ground, of the plot, should be covered in green, softscapes, they call it, living, breathing plants. Could be grasses, could be a perennial garden, could be a vegetable garden, 60%. With that being said, a lot of you have steep hills, or you're seeing some things wash out. We try to recover from that with riprap. We'll put rocks, we call it these ankle-busting kind of sized rocks. If you walk across them, we call them ankle busters because you walk across them and like your ankle gets twisted and it busted. So you don't want those around your driveway or out to the mailbox. You kind of want something flatter. But we'll use riprap to kind of secure a hillside that's washing in temporarily. But really, plants are the best way to go because they root down, they get that soil in there. They don't allow the soil to take off. Vines are a good way to go. We mentioned that one, but there's a lot of great shrubs that do wonderfully for this. Of course, junipers, okay, that's the main one. So I have a lot of real estate investment kind of properties. I buy 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes, starter homes, and I rent those out to families. Those I like junipers because you got a dog, you got kids, you haven't quite learned how to take care of landscapes. Junipers are great for that. You can't kill them; they're just bulletproof. They're great with the really aggressive roots, and there's several of them that are short. They're knee-high or below. Some of them are called carpet varieties, so they just literally they're ankle high and they just spread out. Some buffalo junipers, they get about knee-high and they kind of spread out about 8 foot wide. They're great. But a lot of you don't want junipers in your backyard. There you can the same hardiness, but still evergreen, gets a white flower in spring, red berries in the fall. Really tough plant is Cotoniaster, or the way you'd spell it, Cotton-easter. But Cotoniaster is how you pronounce it properly. It's a ground cover. It's a broadleaf evergreen.
Deer, javelina, rabbits, don't bother this. Pack rats, don't bother it. Sends out long tendrils, just spreads out. So one plant, you put the irrigation on that, and that irrigation will feed a 6 foot wide plant. You just zigzag those across the yard. Great plant. The native that's like that, Oregon grape, creeping Mahonia or creeping Oregon grape. You'll see this growing wild underneath like the oaks and the junipers, that kind of stuff. And they get this bright little yellow flower in the spring. They put on little blue berries that the birds just think they've died and gone to heaven with. But it gets low. Maybe it's not even a foot high. But it just replicates, keeps going, keeps spreading, keeps going out there. And it'll just a great little running ground cover. But they call it Oregon grape holly because the leaf looks like a holly leaf. It's not related, totally different plant, but it looks like that. So the common name has taken on this Oregon grape holly. It's a native, grows wild up in the Bradshaws, the Mingus. You'll just find it out there. It's a magical little plant, super easy. You can get one plant, it'll reproduce itself. Really a great ground cover. And then the mistake you don't want to make. Don't think you can come over to the garden center. We make our own seed. We've got this wild grass, wild flower seed. And so many folks think they can take the seed and chuck it over the hillside and expect it to come up and hold in their hillside. Out of these thousands of seed, 3 will come up because you just didn't give them the right space to really get them to go. You want to be more methodical, more purposeful with your gardening so you get wildflowers can be used for ground cover. But you want to prepare little pockets through that hillside. You want beside the driveway. Be more intentional and you'll get a faster growing, better production, better looking plant. Anyway, lots of good. I've got a handout here at the garden center. It's called the top 10 plant list. These are the top 10. Ground covers is one of them because it's such a popular topic. Ask for it. It's free. We'll give you one. Those are some of the ground covers you can grow here in the Central Highlands of Arizona easily in your backyard. Be right back.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to The Mountain Gardener. Hi, Lisa here with the plants of the week and our lavender chiffon hibiscus.
This hardy variety is one of the longest blooming, most prolific shrubs, showing off massive 4-inch lavender flowers all summer long.
This stately bush likes to show off, and all for $39.
But wait, there's more. These pretty shrubs come back again next year with even more stunning beauty.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love stunning hibiscus, they love to shop.
Hi, Ken here with the plants of the week and our Mcminn Manzanita.
Part of Waters' expanding native selection, this is the big, bold manzanita you find growing throughout Arizona.
A local evergreen growing wild with the classic red bark for a styling, drought-hardy landscape.
Locally grown for local landscapes, this easy care shrub is just $39.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love lots of native plants, they love to shop.
You've tuned in to The Mountain Gardener with local garden expert Ken Lane. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
So tomatoes are absolutely growing wild right now. They're producing fruits. I've double stacked tomato cages. I've got tomato cages, then I put another one on end like that. So just trying to get more. I've staked those. They are taller than I am. They're really happy. They love this type of monsoonal, late summer, warm soil, shaded. They love everything about this. I am starting to prune back. Now I'm giving you permission. Don't be afraid to cut back some of your plants. It's okay. You're not going to hurt them. I mean, tomatoes are like sugar factories. They just produce so much foliage, but they'll get these suckers or side shoots that start running across the ground. Now you can't even get to the tomato to stake things up more. Those runners, don't be afraid to cut those things off. It's not going to hurt the production. It's going to keep on flowering. I wouldn't say cut it back to like ground level, but if you've got a long runner, long vine coming out, don't be afraid. It's okay. They almost need that. So for me, I've been doing that. I've been picking tomatoes, that kind of stuff. They're starting to overgrow each other. I'm going, guys, you need to get along with each other.
You can't send that vine over there, and I just cut it off. I don't let them commingle like that. And you can do the same thing. Openness, aeration, sunshine. These are all good things. If they start overgrowing each other, tomatoes, they'll kill each other if they're allowed. They'll just choke each other out. It's like this Darwinian experiment to see which one survives. So we got a lot of good classes coming up. The next 3, I'm teaching the one this weekend. It's on how to plant properly. You want the most growth out of your plants. You want the best health. Right now, I can tell you the best thing you can do. This kind of rain is so incredible for your evergreens that have been stressed out. If you're worried about bark beetle in your pine trees or your junipers, just fertilize them right now. With all this rain, it will set out a whole nother set of growth of wood growth. It'll choke out all those bark beetles. Some tricks and tips we'll share this weekend, how to care for a plant, get the most out of your landscape. But there's some easy tricks in the monsoon. Taking advantage of this, you can really do your landscape, your natives, a true favor right now. Next weekend, we've got, let me try to flip. I'm trying to get over there right now, watersgardencenter.com. Oh, wildlife and bug prevention. So we'll go over some bugs. We're starting to see spittle bugs show up. Deer are eating on things. We'll go over how to deal with that. And then some of the new plant introductions that we've gotten in just in the last couple days. We'll share those so you can see what can I be planting now as opposed to maybe spring I couldn't plant those. And then the last, August 20th, the best evergreens for mountain landscapes. So lots of good content coming up that you can kind of put to use like right now. Here's an insider tip for my friends. You tuned in, you've kind of learned what's going on, you kind of follow us. Some of you are actually stalkers or groupies. I love you guys. You're awesome. But we're going to start a week early our Monster Monsoon sale. So once a year, at the end of the season, here at Waters Garden Center, we clear out all the spring and summer things, making room for, we got fresh shipments coming like crazy. So the mum crop's almost ready to harvest. I need room. So we're trying to make space. We call it the Monster Monsoon sale. So trees, vines, perennials. I've got all the perennials have to go, except for the brand new ones that just came off the truck. They're all going to go, and they'll be at half price. So you'll hear about this next weekend, but for you all, as we tag them, they're for sale. So we'll have big streaming tags on them with the price on it. They'll be 25, 30, 50, 60% off. We'll kind of make a judgment call, but you know about it now. So kind of next weekend, the whole universe will know because advertising will go everywhere, but you're the insider scoop right here because you tuned into The Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa Lane.
We believe in family, church, community, and friendships at Waters Garden Center.
Hi, Ken here with the plants of the week and our Arizona Cypress.
If you want low-maintenance natives, easy care, and reduced water use, then this is the evergreen for you.
When planted in rows, they block the wind, traffic noise, and make the perfect privacy screen.
Comes in an Arizona blue, easy to grow, and prefers monsoon planting.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love native evergreens, they love to shop.
If you want a more fruitful garden, increase success in your landscape that just feels better, then tune in every week to The Mountain Gardener. Years of tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts are guaranteed to make your gardens nicer than ever. Listen to this podcast or read Ken's weekly garden column by visiting watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Thanks for tuning in.